So some breaking news in this last hour or so. The US Vice President, J.D. Vance, has been talking up the prospects of a trade deal with us here in the UK. He said that there's a good chance that it will happen, and he described it as potentially a great agreement.
Well, an agreement could see British businesses escape harmful tariffs that President Trump has levied on countries across the globe. Industry Minister Sarah Jones joins us now from Westminster. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Obviously, this is positive news, then, that we're hearing from the US this morning about the possibility of a great trade deal. What do we think, then? What does the government think that a great trade deal looks like for us? Could this be no tariffs, or is it just lower tariffs than we have?
Well, of course, we have built a good relationship with the new administration in America over many months, and we're in a good position to be having negotiations with them. There's the Business Secretary, Johnny Reynolds, has been having lots of conversations with his counterparts, and of course our officials have been negotiating. Now, the 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium, the 25% tariffs on our automotive industry, and the 10% tariffs on everybody else are not what we want to see. We don't want to see a world where trade wars are dominating. We want to see open trade. So we are having those negotiations. We are having those conversations. The scope of that is for those negotiations, and we will, of course, as soon as we have a deal, be able to announce it. But at the moment, it's positive what the Vice President has said. But of course, those conversations are ongoing.
Of course, we understand that there's going to have to be concessions, though, isn't there, on our side to get this through? What concessions could that be? What would we be prepared to concede on?
Well, again, I won't talk about the specifics because having a negotiation via national television is probably not very helpful for my colleagues who are having those conversations. But look, our starting point is we don't think tariffs are helpful in the sense of we believe in open and free trade. We want our industries here in the UK to be able to trade with the US, and we want the US to be able to trade with us. And we think we're in a good position to have those conversations. We don't think for example, the tariffs on steel help the Americans in any way. The challenges of steel are other issues. So we are having those conversations, trying to make sure we have limited impact on industry here in the UK, because we want people to be able to thrive and jobs to be secure.
Well, look, at the risk of being a party pooper, have to say this, that what we've learned, particularly in the last 2 or 3 weeks, is that the Vice President, and in particular the President, as I was saying earlier, they shoot from the lip. And what they say on a Monday is not what they're going to say on a Tuesday. So how much credence do you give to this interview that Vance has done? It's on a news website overnight, where he's talking up the prospects of this deal with the UK. Because, as I say, we know from extremely recent history, increasingly, we can't really trust what they say.
Well, I think it's positive that the Vice President has said what he has said. I think what stands beneath that is we know that we are having good conversations with our American counterparts. Those conversations are ongoing, and those conversations are positive. So we know that there is truth behind the statement that we are having those good negotiations. What those end up leading to is still to be determined. What the outcome is still to be determined. But I think we are hopeful that we will get a good deal with the US.
Yes,
well, good luck with that.
Can we turn to the situation in Scunthorpe? Because obviously we've been keeping an eye on that this morning. Those raw materials to keep the furnaces burning are going to be on the way to the plant. We're breathing a sigh of relief that that is saved, but it does seem that nationalisation is likely, isn't it? And that could cost us tens of billions of pounds.
So I'd say a number of things. Firstly, yes, it's really good news that we've secured the raw materials, not just the ship that is in the dock in Birmingham that the Secretary of State will be going to see this morning, but also other shipments coming from the US, coming from Australia, coming from Sweden have been secured, and we've been very grateful for the offers of help we've had on this front too. We are now in steady state in Scunthorpe, and we've got good leadership there and a great workforce who have been brilliant throughout this crisis. crisis. What comes next, as you say, is the next question. Now, if we had allowed the plant to close, all those people, 2,700 people made redundant, the need for expenses of making the site safe, there would have been costs of over £1 billion. So there will be costs either way. What we want, our preference, is to have a private partner who can invest in the future of the Scunthorpe site alongside government. That would be our preference, but all options remain on the table. What's really important is that if we're spending taxpayers' money, we spend it properly and we spend it in the national interest, and that is what we will do. That's what we've done so far.
People have said it's very unlikely that another private partner will want to invest in the situation is at the moment. It seems all of this has come about because of high energy costs. That's one of the big factors that has made this unviable, isn't it? That has meant that so much money is being lost. We know that we have the highest cost of energy prices in Europe. That cost of power has jumped 124% in 5 years. That's according to government figures. And people are pointing to the fact that we've lost our coal-fired power stations. Are you going to take action on actually making energy unaffordable? Otherwise, industries like this just aren't going to be viable, are they, if we can't make them affordable?
So there's lots of reasons why the steel industry has halved in the last 10 years. And one of them is energy prices, because our energy prices have doubled in the last 10 years. You're absolutely right. Now, the fundamental reason behind that is the cost of gas and our over-reliance on gas compared to other European countries. And that is why we are investing at pace in the renewable energies that will be secured here in the UK. We won't be so reliant on gas prices. There are other things we need to look at as well. The steel industry at the moment has what's called the supercharger, which is a kind of reduction in their bills, but the bills are still high. You're absolutely right. We are looking at energy prices. We are looking at things like trade barriers and trade defence mechanisms. We're looking at new technology research as well. We have a steel council of all of the different steel industry around the country, our trade unions and other experts, and we are putting our plan for steel together, £2.5 billion that will secure the future of UK steel in this country.
One more subject to squeeze in before we go. Birmingham. What are we going to do about Birmingham? We've got a seemingly endless standoff between a Labour council and a major union, the Labour Party's biggest donor, and they appear to be saying diametrically opposite things. The Unite Union are saying that this dispute is about 150 people facing pay cuts of up to £8,000. The council is saying it's 17 people facing cuts of up to £6,000. They couldn't be further apart. It's been suggested on this programme this morning that Angela Rayner, who of course is the local government minister amongst her other jobs, should go up to Birmingham, look at the books and knock heads together, work out who's telling the truth.
Well, I'm just looking on the screen as we speak, and the piles of rubbish. It's completely unacceptable. People have enough problems to worry about without having to worry about who's collecting their rubbish. Our message to Unite is that they need to suspend the strike and accept the deal. We think it's a good deal. We think it should be accepted. And I think that is the way we're going to get a solution. In the meantime,
their leader was on this programme earlier, speaking quite compellingly, I have to tell you, and describing what sounded like quite a well-put case that the council have got its sums completely wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, we think it's a good deal. We think that Unite should accept it. We think that they should call off the strike. Other local authorities have been helping with some private sector involvement. We know that the logistics are being supported by the army as well. So the government is doing what we can, but ultimately it's for Unite to call off the strike, and that's what we are calling on them to do today.
OK, can I just bring your attention to the front page of The Sun? I'm sure you may well have seen it this morning. Their headline is "Britain is broken." This is the official voters' poll verdict, and they say that more than 2/3 of voters in key political battlegrounds, that's Labour's Red Wall, the North and the Midlands, are saying that they think that Britain is broken. This is a real problem for you, isn't it?
Well, we know we came into government knowing that our public services, our industry, there are huge problems that we are working really hard to tackle. Now, NHS waiting lists have been rising for years. They are now declining.
We've enough given, today, by the looks of it.
Sorry, forgive me, you're very quiet in my ear. Can you repeat that?
Sorry, I was just saying that obviously the people they've spoken to here don't think you're doing a good enough job, do they?
For sure. And look, that is what we are, keeping our heads down, working as hard as we can. The 24,000 people that shouldn't be in this country who we've deported, the 3 million people who've had a pay rise through the minimum wage, the people who are now getting access to our NHS. This is the start. But we have a huge amount more to do, and we are working as hard as we can, whether it's on steel, whether it's on industry, whatever it's on, to make sure we can prove to the British public that lives are going to be improved, wages are going to rise, conditions are going to be better into the future.
I think that's called work in progress, isn't it? Thank you very much indeed, Minister, for your time this morning.
Sarah Jones, Minister.